Agriculture Minister David Littleproud met with the newly appointed National Drought Coordinator, Major General Stephen Day, who is eager to get to work. Really? Minister Littleproud said that with the various state and federal drought assistance as well as drought charities, it made sense to have a National Drought Coordinator overseeing efforts and directing traffic. Major General Day is just the man for the job, Minister Littleproud said. I was impressed with him and to hear how eager he is to get to work. The Drought Coordinator is ready to roll up his sleeves and help farm families. There are thousands of farming families and rural communities out there doing it tough, and Major General Day can help make sure they get the best out of the help government, community and business is providing. The coordinator will work across all levels of government, business, charities and farmers to coordinate all efforts. He'll make sure we get the best out of the efforts we're making and make sure different organisations don't double up to do the same thing twice. Sometimes when everybody wants to help, they fail to communicate between themselves. The drought coordinator will make sure one hand knows what the other is doing and no effort is wasted. Major General Day has other meetings in Canberra this week and intends to get out on the ground and speak to affected communities as soon as possible.
Well, Major General Stephen Day, the Drought Coordinator, is on the line. I mean, one of the problems before you were appointed was with departments of agriculture in every state and massive bureaucracy, there was simple information we couldn't get. And I'm wondering if you've got it. Do we know, for example, how many farms are drought affected?
Yeah, it's a good question, Alan. In fact, I think that's one of the key problems that we face across the country is there's a lack of fidelity of information at the ground level to advise governments at all levels on what they should be doing. And I think there's another problem too, and that is that the information on the various programs the government has isn't getting down to the farmers in an adequately simple way so that they can access the programs. So we've got an information problem.
But Stephen, can I just say this? So we still don't know how many farms are drought affected. Can I then assume that we don't know where they are? Can I then assume that this drought's been going on and killing people? We don't know whether they're beef farms or dairy farms or sheep farms because I'm a farmer's son. Each of those has a different need. So we don't know whether their problem is fodder or cash flow or keeping stock alive. Are you telling me that the bureaucracy still haven't been able to provide this basic information to you?
I certainly don't know exactly how many farms in drought areas.
And there are thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars which have been raised. I don't know how many charities have raised money. But the farmers I speak to are not seeing the money. Now, if you're the coordinator, where is this money as I speak to you right now? Where is this bin full of money which people have raised for drought-affected farmers? Where is it?
Yeah, well, it's not my money, Alan. It's money owned by charities. And you make a good point. There are a lot of charities out there. I actually don't know how many there are. I don't know if anyone does. But I have pulled the national charities together. There's about 24 of them that we did. To talk about some of the issues that people are concerned about. Charities have agreed now to work together into sort of like groupings. On the specific question of money, the best information I've got at this point in time is that, as you say, Australians have been extraordinarily generous. About $50 million, I understand, has been raised across the nation for various drought measures. I understand about $30 million of that has been given out to farmers and families. The Country Women's Association and the NFF have been key players in making sure it gets to those folks who need it.
But Stephen, you've run military operations. This ought to be a military operation. There ought to be a point now where someone's listening to you and saying, "I heard that bloke this morning, and I just feel I've got to sort of give some money because it's such an issue. He told me to ring this number. This is the number. This will be manned. This is how I can deposit the money, and I know where it's going to go."
Well, what I'm trying to do is make sure that the available policies the government has are executed in the most efficient way they can. Make sure that there aren't as many overlaps there aren't overlaps. Trying to identify gaps. Trying to get the charities to get together. Trying to harmonise trucking regulations across states. There are some of the things. Look, I think there are some programs available now, though. There's the farm household allowance to try and help people with their basic costs.
But they can't fill out the form. I heard what you said. You said you're an expert at form filling and you couldn't fill the form out. 197 questions, and the farmers say, if drought doesn't drive us to suicide, this filling out the form will. Why don't we just say, or could you make a recommendation to say to government, for God's sake, give them the money and then take it back from them when they fill out a tax return when the good times come?
Yeah, look, you're absolutely right. I've looked at the form, tried to fill it in. Of course, I'm not a farmer, so that isn't an invitation, but it is extremely complex. It has been simplified over the last few weeks. It's been reduced by a third, and the questions that might sort of knock you out are now at the front rather than partway through or towards the end. But there's no doubt it's still complex, and I think there's more to come. More work needs to be done. There is an income asset test. Many farm businesses are complex, and so the form is. But government is considering its options right now on this one.
Yes. Now, look, we've got to go. Can we talk to you, at least get into you and talk to you each week to get a bit of an update on where we are here?
Well, each week might be a bit problematic, but I will touch base with you every now and again to let you know how we're going.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. I'm obligated to tell you, Paul's back at Piermont in the studio, and he's just texted me to say, I've just taken almost 20 calls from people wanting to throw their radios through the window after listening to that bloke, the drought coordinator. I have another which says that was the most clueless individual I've heard in many years. Heaven help us, for only God and rain can save us now. I don't understand.
And now to the Wentworth by-election, which was basically the product of Malcolm Turnbull spitting the dummy and not serving out his full term until the federal election early next year, and making life incredibly difficult for Scott Morrison. So, yeah, really good party man, Malcolm Turnbull. It's never been about just Malcolm. It's always been about the people around him. He's such a generous person. He'd never let anybody hang out to dry now, would he? Anyway, the son of the former Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull has been soliciting donations for the Labor Party ahead of the by-election for his father's vacated seat of Wentworth. Malcolm Turnbull's son is encouraging voters to donate to Labor ahead of the Wentworth by-election. The vacancy was created by the former Prime Minister's parliamentary resignation. Alex Turnbull on Saturday retweeted Labor candidate Tim Murray's call for donations for the upcoming poll for the federal Sydney seat. Best bang for the buck you'll get in political donations in your life, the former Prime Minister's son Alex Turnbull said on Twitter. What a loyal individual he is. The comments come after Alex Turnbull blamed the coal industry for his father's downfall. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Alex. In an interview with Fairfax Media on Monday, Alex Turnbull said supporters of the coal industry were exerting financial influence on the Liberal Party, which works against his father. It's impossible to vote for the LNP in good conscience. He told the paper, my father fought the stupid and the stupid won. Brilliantly articulate, Alex. I can see you're going to be a great public speaker. The Singapore-based fund manager said he knew Labor candidate for Wentworth, Tim Murray, as a friend. The younger Turnbull said, it's hard to back a Labor guy, but not Tim. Yeah, right. Not hard at all for the Turnbull family. You'd be quite happy to go global and green. He feels compelled to speak because of his loyalty to his country of birth, Australia. This coming from a guy who's living in Singapore. The Liberals hold the seat that symbolises Sydney's sun-kissed wealthy image by 17.7%. It seems almost inconceivable that the party could lose it, yet party insiders are worried. Losing the seat would be the equivalent of John Howard losing Bennelong in 2007. When the Liberal Party toppled Malcolm Turnbull as Prime Minister in late August, Wentworth lost its hugely populous local member. Beloved was how many of the electorate described him. Really? Yes, he's very warm and cuddly, our Malcolm. In the 2016 election, Turnbull's two-party preferred winning margin was almost a whopping 18%, and Liberals fear his brutal political assassination at the hands of his own people could be enough to drive him away from some of the party faithful. You can tell this is an SMH article with the tone that's been set. Those who desert the Liberal Party in protest are likely to turn to well-known Dr. Kerryn Phelps, a City of Sydney councillor who has had a public profile for more than 2 decades. Phelps, 60, has seized on climate change, identified as the biggest policy issue for voters in Wentworth. Boy, they're not like average Australians then, are they? As one of her key platforms, she has released a 6-point plan to tackle global warming and has pledged that if elected, she will reject government support for new coal-fired power plants and aim for 50% renewable energy by 2030. Phelps supports the Paris Accord. Not only that, she wants Australia to contribute more billions to it. She claims she supports Medicare and she has pushed for less bulk billing in the past. This from a GP who charged around $100 a standard consultation, according to Alan Jones on 2GB. And Malcolm Turnbull's son, Alex Turnbull, posted a video online late on Thursday urging voters in Wentworth to vote against his father's party on October 20th, in part due to concerns about the party's lack of action on climate change. What a punce. What a disloyal punce at that. He said the Liberal Party had been taken over by extremists and that the hard right of the party wanted to pursue a crazy agenda. If you want to pull the Liberal Party back from the brink, it's the one clear signal you can send, he said. What a clueless twat you are, Alex. And it does look as though Phelps may well win that election because of the makeup of the Wentworth electorate. It's not your average Australian electorate. These people are basically green globalists and they don't have the same concerns as average Australians. They basically don't have the same nationalistic fervour. They're globalists. They don't have that much of a ties to Australia, in spite of what Alex says. So I think that it's an extremely difficult electorate to please, and anything could happen. But as far as Wentworth by-election is concerned, I would currently say that chances are Phelps will probably get over the line and the Liberals will be in minority government. The other thing Phelps said, she said she would actually provide supply to the government so that it wouldn't be unstable. Now she's reneged on that particular promise as well. Personally, I think she's shonky as hell, and it basically can be another very unsteady period for Australian democracy, but we're getting used to that now, aren't we?